I can see two major factors which makes international rice markets so unique compared to other food commodity markets. Firstly, the extent of price distortions. So in most countries, most developing countries where rice is the staple, governments heavily distort prices because it's such a politically sensitive crop. So there are heavy uses of import tariffs and other forms of barriers to block trade, and almost every country where rice is a staple crop, there are price stabilization policies where the aim is to keep prices stable so consumers have access to rice.
Do you think that's self-reinforcing? That the more countries that try and control rice prices, the more volatile the market becomes?
Exactly. What ends up happening is a beggar thy neighbour policy, and this has a severe effect when it's the large nations, the large exporting nations and importing nations, such as the Philippines and Indonesia, that follow these price stabilization policies, which has huge effects on the price movements in international rice markets.
And what does that mean for small import-dependent countries like Senegal?
It means that they're completely exposed to the price movements on the rice market, and there's very little that they can do to stabilize domestic prices because they're so dependent on world rice markets that there's only so many mechanisms that countries like Senegal can use.
Adam, we discussed some of the solutions we thought might be on the table for a country like Senegal in reducing its vulnerability to price shocks on international markets. Do you think, now that we've been here for a while, those solutions are as you expected them to be?
I think the feasibility, at least theoretically, for Senegal to become self-sufficient is definitely something which I personally underestimated. Speaking to extension officers, to researchers and to farmers, there's a very strong sense that Senegal can be self-sufficient in rice.
And rice production is clearly very sensitive to climate conditions, and changing climate, more droughts, more extreme weather will create negative impacts on rice harvests in certain parts of the world. That's inevitable. And changes in production will of course trigger effects on the price of rice and on markets. So when I heard that, I thought, this is climate relevant, this is a climate risk. And that's when we started to discuss how climate change might create risks through international markets.